again, and I have had the glorious opportunity to meet Kristie Rountree. I've actually known her for quite some time. I don't know if she remembers me when I was a little kid, but I remember her when I was a little kid. Prior circumstances, wish we'd be able to met, which I really didn't talk to you back then anyway. But Kristie has been a mainstay in the program, and that's always beautiful. When the first day I came, she was there, and she's here today. And we've actually, me, her, and another gentleman have started a meeting on Saturday nights. It's Christmas Meth Anonymous at 5 o'clock, Broadhead Community Center, 36 Castle Village Drive, Broadhead, Kentucky, 40409. But she's been there to hold my hand through this pretty much the whole way. And I don't want to take from her story, but she's done some things that the likelihood or the percentage is low of other people doing. And with further ado, Kristie Rountree.
You want me up here or you want me down here?
You stand where you want to, hon.
Be what you want me. Which way do you want me?
Do I need a mic or can you all hear me?
Do what you want to do.
Yeah, it's hey, this is your show.
Yeah, this is
It's your
show.
time.
I'm everywhere, you all. I don't even know where I want to be.
It's crowded up there. Look.
It is crowded up here.
We'll do a little dance while you're getting ready. Come on, girl.
I'm gonna sit, y'all, I think. I'm not gonna make no promises. My name's Kristie Rountree. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, and this August I'll have 3 years clean. I don't really know where I want to start at today. Let's see. I guess I can start by saying that I had decent parents. I had a decent childhood. I had a lot of health problems as a child. Sick all the time. Missed a lot of school. My parents done what they could do for me. When I was 17, 18 years old, I was a senior in high school. My mom and dad separated. They eventually divorced. My dad was sick. My dad had been sick my entire life. So when my mom left, he was completely heartbroken. When my mom left, I didn't realize how much it affected me. I was angry at her. I was actually mad at her for leaving. Because I was the oldest, and of course, all the responsibility fell on me. And I was a kid myself, you know. So I was very, very angry at her. And to say the least, she and I did not get along at all. And I ended up meeting a guy, trying to fill that kind of lonely void that Mama left. Me and Mom never got along, even when Mom and Dad were married. We fought all the time. I didn't like her because she favored my brother. I felt like he was babied and I got the blame for everything. If anybody got a whooping in the house, it was me. And I just didn't like her. She didn't feel like she loved me. And I met a guy, ended up getting married. Boy, was that a mistake. He was not only mentally, but physically abusive. He dislocated my shoulder at one point in time. He's choked me. When my dad got really bad sick and was in the hospital, I spent the night with him. And I come home to my husband trying to kill me because he thought I was with another guy. So Dad ended up coming home. Dad was really bad sick. He was in a hospital bed. He broke his hip. He couldn't walk. He was on oxygen. He was having to have IV antibiotics every day shots every day. So I was trying to take care of him, and I had a husband that could care less. And he looked at me one day and said, "Why don't I just slip him something in his IV and help him along? He's dying anyway." Well, I saw red. It wasn't pretty. I smacked the floor out of him, and I said, "You see that door? Don't let it hit you on your way out." "Where am I going to go?" "I don't care where you go, but you're not going to be here anymore." So I got out of that situation, but then my dad got worse. Right before Dad got worse, he was in the hospital up here, and I got up with a friend of mine. I'd always drank kind of off and on, here and there. Never really done drugs at all. Never. A friend of mine said, "Oh, come on, smoke a joint." So I did. Well, then my dad passed away. When my dad passed away, my world fell apart completely. And I went and drugged my husband out of some other girl's apartment because I felt like I needed him and he should be there for me because I lost my dad. Mistake number 2. But God had me, so and it's a good thing, or I wouldn't be sitting here today. My dad passed away. My husband decided we were going to do some coke, we were going to drink, we were going to do some Valiums. Well, me, him, and another friend done that, and he got it in his head that he was going to kill my brother. And went upstairs and got my dad's gun out of his room and went across the parking lot to shoot my brother. I chased after him, got him back in the apartment, locked himself in the bedroom. And I went up there beating on the door, and he literally stuck the gun through the door at me. And I was like, "You lost your mind. You're just crazy. You need to just put the gun down, come out of the bedroom, calm down." When he come out of the bedroom, put the gun in my head, was going to kill me. I mean, it was in it, had me in the window, plastered in the window with his gun in my head, going, "I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you." And I'm like, you know, Dad just died, I lost everything I ever loved, go ahead. I don't love you, he said, "You don't love me." "No, I don't. Kill me, get it over with. Put me out of my misery." But God seemed fit not. So, locked up and arrested him, went to jail, finally got away from him for good, about a month after that. And that's when everything came crashing around me. I started drinking all the time. Like I drink a fifth of whiskey every day and not think nothing about it. Well, then I ran into an old schoolmate of mine that had had a crush on me for years. And started hanging out with him. And, well, of course, then that came a little bit of smoking pot, of course, drinking all the time, partying on the weekends. Here come the pills here and there, Xanaxes here and there. Me and him had decided we were going to date. He'd asked me to marry him 3 or 4 times. I kept telling him I don't know, you know. Actually, 4 days after we decided that we were going to try this as a relationship, he was killed in a car accident. So here goes my world again. So everybody that come and seen me that day brought me Xanaxes. I ate enough Xanaxes that I should not be here. Once again, God seemed fit to keep me here. When he passed away, of course, everything just intensified. You know, I didn't deal with it very well, so that was my way of dealing with it. I would take Xanaxes, I'd do pills, I'd drink, I'd party, anything I could do just to feel numb because I didn't want to deal with it. And in this process, I kept saying, "No, why do you keep taking everybody that I love? Why do you keep taking everybody that I love away from me? Why don't you just give me a child that won't ever leave me, that will love me unconditionally, won't ever leave me?" And the doctors had told my mom when I was a kid that I'd never have any kids. If I got pregnant, I would miscarry. I would never be able to carry a child. So Not long after that, I met my other husband. Not even a year into meeting him, let's see, probably 2-3 months in, found out I was pregnant. I have a daughter. And then we got married, things were so-so, still kind of partying, drinking, pills, you name it. Then I decided that it was time to stop. And I told him, I said, look, you're either gonna stop, and we're gonna have a life, or there's the door. So we both agreed to stop. Everything stopped for a while. Everything was okay for a while. And then he got to doing stuff at work that I didn't know anything about. And then eventually started doing stuff at home again. And I was like, okay, well, we can do this here and there, you know, pill here and there on the weekend, we're cool. And it just kind of escalated to the point that he lost his job. We ended up having to move somewhere else. Right after we moved, I found out I was pregnant again. We ended up having to live with my mom for a while. But you know, that's 2 big blessings right there from God. Amazing blessings. I would not trade anything in this world for my kids. And I don't know. My kids are amazing. But we ended up living with my mom for a while. I got an apartment at Broadhead. He held back child support. He ended up moving to London. We ended up separating for a while. He had other women. And when he left and got with another girl, it just rocked my world again. Picked right back up. Started doing pills every day. Wouldn't get out of bed if I didn't have a pill. I ended up going to jail for shoplifting. Ended up catching my bedroom apartment caught on fire. Burnt the curtains, burnt the dresser. They had to tear a hole, of course, in the wall and make sure there was no fire in the wall. But thank God, my kids and me got out. There was no big major damage other than the home. I ended up losing my apartment. Ended up back with my mom. Me and him both ended up in trouble. My grandma took me to her house on an ankle monitor. He eventually got out on an ankle monitor. My kids got took. Thank God for only like 60 days. He ended up going to Florida, do the big Florida deal. And of course we were selling. We were getting high every day. It just wasn't a good life. My grandmother passed away in this. That was my other rock. Because I still didn't like my mama. I still didn't like her. Me and her could not get along. And my grandma was always there. It didn't matter. She was always there for me. She's the reason I know God today. Because she taught me about God. And I thank God for that. I wish she could be here to see me today. I went to her funeral high because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with any of it. My husband ended up going to prison for 3 years. In that 3 years, I ended up getting my act together, coming up here, helping start this Celebrate Recovery. And at this time I was back with Mama. My brother lived there. And he was a full-blown addict. So it was shoved in my face every day. I eventually failed. I ended up back out in addiction. This time worse. I was doing 30s. I was doing meth, Suboxone, Xanaxes, you name it. And this time around, it took me way further than I wanted to go. It became way darker than I wanted it to be. I ended up doing what everybody does for it. It didn't matter what I had to do to get it. A lot of bad stuff. I ended up having an affair with my best friend's husband because he was supplying me. He kept me in pills, he kept me in meth, and I done whatever he wanted me to do. It wasn't pretty, I'm not proud of it. But God seemed fit to help me through it. I got in trouble again, and I had to go to a probation parole to report. I quit using 4 days before I was to report. And of course, I was dirty. So I sat 60 days in jail. But before I went to jail, I had prayed them 4 days. God, you know you've got to help me. I can't do this by myself. You know you've got to help me. So I didn't want to go to jail, but I feel like that's where I needed to have been to get clean. So I sat there for 60 days, and by the grace of God, I got into drug court. Drug court brought me back to these meetings, brought me back to God, and that's where I stay today. I've done a lot. I've been to jail for many, many things, mainly shoplifting. I'm not allowed in Walmart or Kroger's, JCPenney, a few other places. I can see throughout my story, you know, where God has always had his hand on me. God called me when I was 16 years old, and I was scared, and I ran. I ran as hard as I could run, for as long as I could run. You know, I just sit and think how much different my life could have been had I just surrendered when I was 16 and said, here I am, you know, do with me what you want. But because of the things that I have been through, it's made me who I am today. Actually, I probably wouldn't change but 1 or 2 things. You know, the meth, this last time I done it for about 3 years straight. I ran pretty wide open and just didn't care. My mom and I fought all the time, and me and her literally fist fought. My brother died in the process of this. He died of cancer. And I stayed up for a week straight fixing everything for his memorial. And I stayed high the entire time because I didn't want to deal with it. Because I had been a horrible sister to him. His last few months alive, I despised him. I hated him. I wanted him to die. And that's bad. That is so bad. And when he did, I was so angry because he did. You know, he left me to deal with all this. And I was just a horrible person in my addiction. Like, nobody here would have liked me at all. I was horrible. I fought with my mom constantly. And up until I got into drug court, and I started coming to church, and I started praying again, rededicating my life to God, did that stop? Me and my mom get along great now. As far as me and my husband, my divorce was final Friday. I couldn't see staying married to somebody any longer that cared nothing for me. Told me he loved me, but yet we couldn't stay together, and he lives currently with somebody else right now. And I felt like that that's what I needed to do in order to go on with my life and my recovery. And for anybody that is out there in active addiction, the only answer I have is God. I mean, you have to surrender to Him, and you have to be sold out to your recovery. And you have to want it. You have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. I can look back now and realize that I was on death's door. I mean, I weighed maybe 80 pounds and looked horrible because I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I was up for weeks at a time. It's just no life to live. And I think that's all I have, Charlie.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.